Jesuit education has been around as long as the Society of Jesus has been around, so over 500 years. And I think Ignatius of Loyola, our founder, really got into the education side of things because he realized that there was a great opportunity to be able to advance the mission of the Jesuits. And they've had tremendous success over that period of time. I think everybody realizes that there are great centers of education throughout the whole world, and especially in this country, in the United States, that are Jesuit schools of education. Georgetown University, Boston College, Fordham University, and so many other high schools, about 46 high schools in the country. Belen is among that very elite group of centers of education. Starting in Cuba and now in Miami, it's continued that tradition for over 164 years. The question becomes, what is it about Jesuit education that makes it so special? It's rooted in the spiritual exercises of St. Ignatius of Loyola. Many times people think that the greatest contribution Ignatius of Loyola gave to the world were the Jesuits or the schools, but in reality it's the spiritual exercises. It's this opportunity to be able to reflect on one's own life and in the process encounter the person of Jesus Christ, and therefore become a better person because of that moment of prayer and that moment of silence and the moment of reflection. And our education is rooted in the spiritual exercises. How do we provide for these young men at Belen the opportunity to encounter the person of Christ? How do we encounter them, give them the opportunity to be able to encounter themselves as they encounter each other, and in that process reflect on their lives and evaluate the things that they do and prepare for a future and how they can contribute to the world with that future, and not only contribute to themselves and to their families.
I started off here in 6th grade. Fall of '92. Belen to me was, when I started off here, seen as this great big unknown of what I was going to get into. It was, you knew the term Belen carried a lot of weight before coming in, but I didn't really know what that meant. It meant a world of a difference to me. All the experiences, all the different lessons I had here in Belen, the teachers that I had. I look back at it now, and it's undoubtedly made me out to be the person I am. What I wish to achieve with my students is to try to instill certain ideals and certain types of lessons that have been left in me as a result of my experiences here. I can always remember the certain icons, teacher icons that I had, these great big figures, Mr. Collins, Mr. Martinez, Mr. Alexander. My personal favorite at the time as I was a student here was Mr. Williams. And for me, it wasn't just a matter of what he would teach us in the classroom, but also the experiences we had out of the classroom. And going beyond just that typical student-teacher relationship and really taking a personal interest in the things that you were going through. That is the model I kind of look to replicate as a teacher here. In being able to mimic that same type of a relationship that I had with my favorite teachers here in Belen. The greatest lessons that I can recall, if anything, granted, the lessons you're going to get from the curriculums that are taught to you in classes of utmost importance, but more important, I think, are issues of accountability, of learning how to become what it means to really be a man in today's society, a sense of responsibility, and probably most importantly, it would be the significance that is placed in this school on having a constant sense of reflection upon your own motivations and upon your own actions. I think it's rooted in that Ignatian tradition that we repeat here on a day-to-day basis through the examen, in which we always call to attention what are the reasons behind what we do, whether or not what we do is in line with what we learn through Ignatian spirituality.
Belen for me has always been a place where I can seek freedom in a way. Belen has always been a place for me to explore what I want to explore, whether it was things like politics and debating and things like Model UN, or exploring different subjects I wanted to take in classes. There was always something for me to do that allowed me to expand myself, that allowed my freedom to grow. So whether it was learning something new that expanded my knowledge, or doing a new club, like the American Sign Language Club, where I was able to learn about communicating with deaf people. I mean, it was things that are really impactful, things that really broaden your horizons, are really accessible here at Belen. And more than that, Belen has always been a place filled with the most incredible people in terms of the students and the faculty. It's always been a place where I can come and I know that people are going to care about me, where the people around me want to see me succeed, and the people around me treat me like a brother. This place is much more than just a school, it's a family, and I've recognized it like that ever since I was in 6th grade. I've always seen it as a place where I can come, where I know people are going to care about me.
So because our education is rooted in the spiritual exercises and doing everything for the greater glory of God, of always trying to obtain the majus, which is the more and such a typical principle of the spiritual exercises, because we're called to examine our lives like it's done in the spiritual exercises, is to be able to graduate a young man who understands the reality of the world, is able to evaluate the good and the bad, and make sure to be able to contribute to the benefit of that world, to leave it a much better place than it was when he found it.